tell Lamar to make sure he gets his collections. They're going to have it in 30 days, or we're going to start taking it away.
I tell you, for the sake of the Board of Education, by the way, I appreciate your post. I talked about that at Cattleman's Monday night too. Timing could not have been worse for the Board of Education to request their eSplosh renewal.
Oh, yeah.
I would have thought that there would have been, I know that they can't actively campaign for it, but as individuals, there's no place in this county that a teacher, principal, aide, bus driver, coach is not a rank. Right. There's not a church, there's not a community event, and each one of them could be talking this up. Right. And each one of them could have been promoting that if the eSplosh passes, then the BOE will do a rollback also. Right. And but it's like the monkeys that are sitting there. See no evil, hear no evil, do no evil. Hadn't heard anything from them. Nothing's promoted at all.
Right. Byron Lee's been working with some of them. But I know when this came up, Alan McCannon several years ago, he came to Cattleman's meeting and said, "Look, here's what we're thinking," and you'll just do a thorough job explaining it. And that's really all it was.
So nobody came to a Cattleman's meeting. I know they went to the Rotary. The only one I know they did anything else.
Nobody came to Cattleman's.
See, that was the other thing I told them that they need to get it out more and talk about it, let people understand. But you know, this people don't understand about the tax structure anyway. Because I've had people call me, "Oh, look at this in my school taxes," and I'm saying, "Yeah, that's based on evaluation." But now you're talking the Board of Commissioners, all right? Really, the Board of Education has more to do with that.
54%, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying, because they're setting their own over here, and I want you to understand that where this is at.
Right. And I hadn't really, with the information that's out there, I hadn't had a tremendous amount of calls. I probably had a half a dozen, and everybody's been understanding of the explanations I gave. Yes. But I tell you, the other thing is it's not damage that is our failure to instruct people on collecting that T-Splosh. Because we went back and told them they had to collect starting April 1, and nobody had been saying it. Lee Brown out south of the fence, he gave me an earful about it. And I was going to mention that tonight. I don't know if there's a way, because they're essentially what they're going. Now they'll charge it obviously, if they're having to go back and pay that 1% because they weren't. So essentially they're saying I've had to pay that out of my pocket because they weren't informed.
Well, see, but I didn't understand that. That seems like to me that once that's done, that information should have been.
Yeah, so that's obviously
like what office is it?
Yeah, if it's a state sales tax, then I guess the State Department of Revenue makes sure everybody knows here's the new rules, here's what you have to collect.
So when the county does it, we got one.
I just about my assumption, I don't know. So obviously there was a fumble there.
Yeah.
And that left some hard feelings.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Anyway.
I had, I've had some good comments about the moratorium.
Yep. I've not had a single.
That, everybody's happy with that. I mean, there's only, as far as I can tell, there's only two people in the county that's unhappy with that. That's Adam and Philip Lawrence.
Yeah.
They're not happy with that at all. Yep. Well, you know, I saw Tripp, Tripp's doing a Tripp on that was a good time to do it.
Yep.
Sales out in the public.
I was talking to Christopher Roach that he was indicating getting his ducks in a row. Maybe it was shortening it down to 60 days. I'm thinking,
no,
let's make sure.
I'd rather be safe than
ask for all of it than call it off rather than not ask for enough.
I don't want to have to be backing up on none of that, you know?
I don't have an objection for it lasting until eternity.
that would be where my rathers would lie also. I know that's not quite appropriate.
Yeah.
That would be my rathers also.
That we can get away with that.
So I don't know,
Hey, how about
most people would notice.
I'd put up border walls around the county a long time ago.
That's what
Forget the border wall in Mexico, I'm talking about the border wall in Madison County.
That's what
There's been a checkpoint in
told
the park.
down there at Savannah, at that last class I went to on strategic planning.
Yeah.
The lady down there says, what's the most memorable thing that you recall about Georgia politics? And you know, I said, when they built the perimeter around the ground, and she said, really? She said, now where are you from? I said, Madison County. Oh, down there. I said, no, you need to work with that. Because I said, there's nothing out there where we're at. I said, I said, there's nothing out there where we're at. And I said, y'all told us when y'all were building the perimeter around the ground, we thought it was gonna be like a 20. And I said, you know, anything y'all wanna do in that fence,
go for it.
You know, just leave the rest of us alone.
Yeah, that would've been grand. Who's gonna be our new senator?
Okay.
Yeah, well, I've never been able to have one, and I'm not sure if he's going to dust in all house.
This will be the first step. He is.
At least 20%.
That mess down at some.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
He didn't get 12 in church.
Yeah.
We're finally meeting.
Yeah,
I'm 100% remote, so I'm never at the office. Are you in the office?
Yeah.
That's on the north rock.
Well, he wants to quit.
Oh, okay.
Why did you want to quit?
Yeah, well, thanks to me.
Well, we want to quit. No, why did you want to quit?
Yeah.
I live in Grayson, which is Fort Worth.
I know, cause I was looking at the little Grayson side.
Oh, and highlighted everything I liked.
No, because you did it.
No, Gary and I both did. It comes to find out that the people on the front page, it's the Jonathan Farm, they were on there.
Because we're back in his office.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm a Georgia girl, and I keep, every time I move a little bit further.
You know where Lamar Hardship Park is?
Born in the
The dump, the government complex.
Next county, and
Yeah. Good for you.
my kids,
Did you go to the camp?
one went to Georgia.
We cannot even go.
Well, they get the party.
I don't think go, so it's, I just made sure.
Hey, Miss Diane, this is, Claudia, our chairman, and then Mr. Christopher Myers. And I'm related to you, so.
I was
glad he came.
Yeah, like right
Try to
before
allow
you get that point, there's a road on the right, you turn there, that'll take you all the way to.
Get those 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're 20
That's the
minutes.
way I go.
So what
They said it signed over $75
to, you know,
flavor.
Yeah, mine is rental.
We got
really
to
need to
mention
get
this.
that.
In my
Yeah,
I can do my next
I'm long-winded, let me see if I can.
That's me.
I'm long-winded too.
because I had like that.
I already know the answer. Trying to get this out of people's.
What about, do you want to put Shane at the podium and refer to the screen?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Where down the agenda?
I mean, I just,
Yeah, so, y'all were there, gentlemen, and it's hurry up today. Whatever it's gonna do. You're piling y'all looking at that. She's supposed to do it. I should have brought it to you, but I think we're thinking
I cleaned my pile up. What time is your game? Oh, okay. All right, you'll be able to make that. Yeah. Because you're gonna be.
I thought we were all going to get some friends.
Well, we are.
No, it's the fire department.
Okay, so wait.
I'm all over down here. I'm gonna go put some back.
I need to make sure I'm trying to, I'm home for a golf.
New business, when we do this, I'm probably gonna refer to Chris, he's gonna do all the explaining on your behalf. Are you Mr. Adams?
Proceedings.
How was council? I know people.
How are you? I hadn't heard that in a while. That's right. I use that a lot too.
Yeah, people do have kids.
Filled in, and I went in again today after I they act like they're not really sure what on the not we need you to talk to your neighbors.
No, this is all I'm gonna do.
Because you see it down at the bottom.
Big things, price everything.
I'll see if you're gonna be around for
Yeah, we're school board did a bond deal last week for $75 million. I told them I might get one additional school money.
One of the questions I felt that I still think there's a way that we can. Well, I mean, that's right.
You know, when we juveniles in the meeting, figured out pretty quick. I can't tell what they felt.
It's already operating without. And not that it was right, it was already operating without. And maybe people just have a license, just to have.
Oh, absolutely.
My email.
This will be a good story for Zach too.
1, 2, 3.
Good time.
It's still important to the people that are elected.
One more.
Fair warning on that.
One more.
Well, I got called right.
Like everybody. You're welcome. Now we're moving. You got two.
I think I'll be at the farm. Little lady coming in July, last Friday. I'll be 3.
Oh, okay.
Right on purpose. She's never been to Europe.
Is there a time?
I've never been to Europe.
We don't go yard everywhere. We don't go.
pediatrics.
I know.
Yeah,
that's right.
Our brother-in-law, I guess.
My wife's a pediatric physical therapist.
She's already
This more the whole day up against where the line is, so that 30 foot.
Yeah, right. It's got more wrinkles than my wife. Occupational is where it's been for a while now versus.
Oh,
really? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Church and state, all right?
Well, I'm still asking, that was just a swap, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a few dollars different, but
Well,
that's
if I owe
what
y'all
I,
money, then.
no, there won't be any money you owe us. So instead of you writing a check and then we'll give you your check back, take it out of that reimbursement.
That works, that's fine, that's fine. I was gonna ask, get that clear, but I never had to deal with it. It's a full amount.
It always takes a while for those training and credit card stuff to come in. We submit it all.
That was, I tell you, the price is right there, it's one.
Small crowd.
It's that lady.
That's what I was saying.
And double down on it.
Well, I see the kids maybe didn't know. Trying to get us right. Tomorrow, last half. So I did have to give props. I did have to give props. Chubby.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. They sell it up here at Arpeggio.
We roll a larger road, one thing you know, every year, 84, 86, so it goes right on there.
They do.
People with, I guess. Well, you
Very good. I tell you, Terry had his thing in his house. Yeah, my family association. I'm gonna give you credit to the grill master, the guy that's on the grill. You can take a biscuit, both sides of the steak, and biscuit don't just fall apart. Here's a steak that you should and tear. That guy knows. He was bringing up hamburgers. But he actually works for you.
Oh, we've got.
He runs the food preparation lab, we're doing research on smoking meats, or he does all that.
Oh, okay.
But he's very gifted with grill, and he has a rub that he puts on the fire. He will not kill it. Well, he was employed when he first joined us, when he created it. So if he ever writes that recipe down, UGA gets it.
Oh, really?
He can't bag the sugar. UGA gets it.
Go ahead.
He won't tell you.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Madison County Board of Commissioners regular business meeting. Tonight's agenda, May 23rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. Yes. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Gentlemen, before you, you have the minutes from April 25th, 2022 regular business meeting and the minutes from May 2nd, agenda setting work session. If y'all have had time to look over those, if you see no discrepancies, I would entertain a motion to approve both sets of minutes from April 25th and May 2nd.
The minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Terry, a second by, I think it was Mr. Doster.
Yes, that's right.
All right, Mr. Kirk. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Dennis?
Yes.
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 Thank you. See, Christina, I told you you've done a good job.
Thank you.
Business involving guest groups, multiple visitors. Christopher Myers with Georgia Rental Assistance Outreach Coordinator and Diane Hester from Department of Community Affairs Mortgage Assistant Director is here to give us a presentation. I was fortunate enough to hear Mr. Myers do a presentation at the Regional Committee recently, and I invited him out to get the word out on what he's going to be discussing here shortly, along with Mr. Myers does assistance with rental properties due to COVID, and Ms. Hester does for mortgages assistance. I thought this was a good avenue. We have placed this on the county's website so our community knows that there is resources out there for both assistance. Mr. Myers, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, great. First of all, I want to thank the chairman for having me here today. I'm excited about rental assistance. I hope by the time I'm done with my presentation, y'all will be excited about rental assistance. Next slide. Yeah, if you want to learn more about, Diane and I are with the same agency. We're with Community Affairs. So if you want to learn more about Community Affairs, I'd encourage you to visit dca.ga.gov. And next. So what happened in 2020 is we all know that COVID hit, and all of us have been affected by COVID one way or the other. So the U.S. Treasury in 2020 allocated $25 billion to the states to help people out with rental assistance. Under that first Consolidated Appropriations Act in 2021, we received $552 million, and then and under the American Rescue Plan in 2021, we received $437 million. So it's a large federal program, but they're leaving it up to the states to distribute the money. Under ERA 1, we anticipate having this money through fall of this year, and then next slide. Under ERA 2, that second bucket of money I told you about, we anticipate having that money through September of 2025. And next slide, please. So the way this happened originally was 12 jurisdictions got money locally, and that was separate from what it is that we do and what my state agency does. So originally, the people that lived in those 12 jurisdictions, they could apply for local assistance. But then in August of last year, the decision was made to expand the program. So now we cover, Georgia Rental Assistance covers all 159 counties in Georgia. We're proud to say that. And the example there from the 12 jurisdictions is if you apply locally and say you had a past due utility or past due rent from October of last year, and say you lived in Cobb County paid that, then there's no duplication of effort. So we would not pay anything that's already been paid by the local jurisdictions. However, we're just trying to get the word out that people can, in all 159 counties, can apply through DCA. So there, under how the program works, under ERA 1, if you were directly or indirectly affected by COVID, then you can apply for assistance under ERA 1. Under ERA 2 is, which I said, that's the program that expands on into fall of 2025 during the pandemic. So it's a broader, it covers a broader swath. You can apply, even if you're not directly affected by COVID, you can still apply because the COVID pandemic is just ongoing, and we all know it hasn't ended yet. So it's not just rent and utilities. I want to emphasize here the deposits, application fees, storage fees, hotel extended stay rentals. For instance, if people are becoming evicted or in the process of being evicted and they have to go into an extended stay situation, if they provide the appropriate documentation, we can help with that also. So next slide, please. And the way it works is, we all know we live in an online world. We're in the digital world now. So the ideal scenario for us at rental assistance is that people would apply online. We developed an online portal, especially for this program. So the documents can be uploaded there. That you see that blue link, georgiarentalassistance.ga.gov. That's where applicants go to apply. We have partner agencies throughout the state that can help people fill out their applications. And then there, that last bullet, Georgia Legal Services, they're providing free legal representation for folks who need it. Next slide. And the way it works, what kind of assistance is provided, just want to emphasize here that there's no cap. There's no cap on the amount of money that can be awarded. So, you know, when you walk out of here, what I want you to remember is no cap. This is not just $100 here or $200 there. We have people that are literally receiving tens of thousands of dollars in assistance. So while there's no financial cap, we do have time constraints, and that's what's on the slide there. Up to 18 months under ERA 2, up to 18 months of assistance can be provided. The program began in earnest March 13th, 2020, so anything prior to March 13, 2020, we can't honor that. But if you apply for assistance after that date, we will consider your application. Well, it's not just past due rent, it's also future rent. So we'll also provide future assistance in 3-month increments. And so next slide, please. So how does it work? Well, it's very much income driven. The takeaways from this slideshow would be that it's income driven and it's document driven. Participants have to submit the required documents in order for their application to be properly processed. So there's an 80% area median income that's determined by HUD. If you earn more than that, you are not eligible. You are eligible if you've qualified for unemployment, if you've incurred significant costs because of the pandemic, you were under ERA 1, you were directly or indirectly affected by COVID. Under ERA 2, which I said is more broad, it's during the pandemic, which we're all in. We're still in the pandemic. So that third check mark there, demonstrate a risk of homelessness. So you would have to furnish an eviction notice, past due rent notice, past due utility notice. The signed verification of housing instability is just a form from the landlord saying, yes, I'm aware that Mr. Smith is on hard times and is possibly facing eviction. Next slide. So, does anybody receive priority? Yes, they do. We give priority to people who, at the time of application, have possibly been unemployed for at least 90 days. Those people get pushed to the front of the batch. These applications are processed in batches, so they would go to the front of the batch. That other consideration there is, again, it's income. Remember, we talked before about 80%, the area median income. If you're at or below 50% of area median income, then you're considered low income, you're considered poverty level. So those applications get pushed to the front of the batch as well. Next slide. I'm not going to spend much time on this slide. We're all, probably most of you in this room are familiar with Section 8. So Section 8 folks, they're already getting a federal subsidy. So we will, if someone who's living in Section 8, if they apply, we can pay the tenant portion. So again, this is no overlap, just like I was talking about the 12 jurisdictions, there can be no overlap. So with this, no overlap. And next slide. So up until now, you think I've been talking about traditional landlord-tenant kind of an apartment. I've been talking about apartment situations. Just want to emphasize here mobile homes and the lot on which the mobile home sits. Again, folks who've been evicted and may have had to go to temporary lodging, lease purchase and rent to own units are also eligible under certain circumstances. And next slide. Let's see, can we go back one? Yeah, the payment process. We'll pay funds directly or indirectly to landlords and utility companies on behalf of the tenant under ERA 1. It's typically 12 months. Under certain circumstances, they can receive 15 months of aid. Under ERA 2, again, the program that's a little broader, they're eligible for up to 18 months of assistance. So next slide. Going to go through this quickly, the payment process. The landlord and the tenant upload their documents. The documents are reviewed. We have processors and underwriters on our DCA staff. So the documents are reviewed by the processors and the underwriters. All the information is confirmed. If any documents are missing, then the processor will get in touch with the tenant and or the landlord to request additional documents. Once the payment has been approved, it'll go out either ACH, which is direct deposit, or we can issue a paper check. Next slide. Gonna wrap up here. Yeah, so as the middle of May, this is Madison County specifically, as of the middle of May, $117,000 in payments, roughly $117,000 have been disbursed as the middle of May. The program's gaining momentum, and we're really pleased at DCA to see the number of applications is just increasing each month. Again, just wanted to reemphasize that we've got the 60 nonprofit agencies located throughout the state that can help people fill out applications. And then next slide. So that's my time, and I want to thank the chairman, and then I'm going to turn it over to Diane. She's going to tell you about mortgage assistance.
Thank you, Chris.
Quickly, I may just do this because there's a lot of slides. Yeah, I'm just going to click through a lot of these. All right, so good evening. And now, if you listen to him, the rental assistance has a whole lot of money, about 3 times what we have for mortgage assistance. Just saying. They actually started out earlier, so who knows what we'll get. Hopefully the pandemic won't be around too all too long. I am going to go through a lot of these quickly. You heard him mention March. Our date for mortgage, I don't know why the pandemic started differently for rental than it did for mortgage, but our date is January 21st, 2020. We are going to be going through September 2026 when funds are exhausted, whichever comes first. And we had to get our plan approved. So everybody's like, okay, why haven't you started your program? We had to go through Treasury to get it approved. Treasury approved our program in on January 10th. We rolled our program out January 19th. So as soon as it was approved, boom. In the meantime, we did have a pilot program. We were allowed to do that while we were waiting on Treasury's approval. So we did do a little pilot program, but that was only with the ones that we service at DCA. All right, here's the big one. Pandemic financial hardship, 1, 2, 3. Everybody in this room, in the state of Georgia, in the nation, probably has been affected by the pandemic in some shape or form. Some have been severely affected, some have just been minorly affected, but just about everybody has been affected. So that's step 1. The homeowner, borrower, or spouse residing in the home must have had a qualifying hardship caused by the pandemic. Not that it happened during the pandemic, but it was actually caused by the pandemic. Number 2, the pandemic hardship must have resulted in a financial hardship. So for me, I caught COVID after I had my shots and had the booster, but I caught it. No financial hardship. Did I have a pandemic hardship? Yes. Did I have a financial hardship? No. Relatives, they lost their job due to the pandemic. First furloughed, then laid off. They were able to recover, and in fact, with that $600 addition, the federal to the unemployment, made out better. So Had a pandemic hardship? Yes. Financial hardship? No. So we're looking at, for homeowners who had a significant loss of income, and, you know, so you lost wages, you lost total income, significant increases in expenses. And this is not just, first of all, you know, it's over $4 a gallon, that is, you know, gas now. We're not talking about that. We're talking about severe, significant increases in expenses. This would be more along the lines, did you have to come out of pocket for something? The most severe would be being in a hospital, and people have insurance, but that 20%, if you come out of pocket, that's not peanuts. The other thing that we're looking at, or one of the things, could also be a permanent loss of income. Now, the most unfortunate thing about the pandemic, a lot of people died. People lost their spouses or lost a homeowner. So their income was cut in half, or maybe even more. You also had people who, for whatever reason, got COVID and had long-term effects. Maybe they're totally disabled now. Maybe they're having to learn how to walk and talk again. This is what we're looking at for a permanent loss of income, the ones that were severely affected, because we want to be able to help as many as we can. So lastly, the hardship must have caused the need for mortgage or housing assistance provided under the Georgia Mortgage Assistance Program. Because there are some people who need things that we cannot help with. This is only for mortgage and housing expenses. So people with medical bills, we're going to help those people. But if we have something, if 1, 2, 3 fits, and you know somebody, please tell them about this program. Okay, now, you heard that, again, there's dates. The federal, for Treasury, for this program, they allowed us to go back further. So this is a nationwide program, plus DC, so you got 50 states, DC, the territories, plus tribal nations. Anybody know how many tribal nations there are in Georgia? What, 574 recognized? I don't know how many of those people are, or how many of those groups are actually participating in this program. A lot of entities with this program. So this, for the mortgage assistance, it's called the HAP program. They said you could go back, you could cover delinquencies. So Georgia picked July 1st, 2019. We're trying to include as many homeowners as possible. So we did this thinking, what about that person who may have just lost their job or had a medical situation in 2019, late 2019? They're getting ready, they're ready to go back to work, only to have the pandemic hit, and that job that they may have had lined up disappear. So we're trying to include as many people as we can. Now, the person that was delinquent back then still would have had to have met the first one, had a pandemic hardship that caused the financial hardship as well. All right, we cover most homes. So I'm going to go by this quickly. And our assistance is $50,000 up to $50,000 and a grant. Not $50,000 up to $50,000. Have some homeowners receive $50,000? Yes, indeed. Will everybody receive $50,000? No. We have the 3 programs: mortgage reinstatement, principal curtailment, and housing expenses. And assistance is in the form of a grant, and never ever to the homeowner. We had a previous program, and the homeowner, I had more than one homeowner say, just send it to me, I'll handle it, I'll take care of it. Sorry, no. We just do everything directly to the payees, which would usually be mortgage company or the housing expenses. Now, with this in the grant agreement, the homeowner is acknowledging that they can make their payments going forward if we provide assistance. If they can't, counseling is recommended. But even if somebody hasn't fully recovered, we want to try to help if we can. This is Georgia. Foreclosure can occur when you owe for that 6th payment. We would rather be able to help those people at least get caught up and give them a little bit of time so that they can try to work things out. Maybe they'll win the lottery. I keep waiting, so. Okay, so mortgage reinstatement assistance. This is for the homeowner who's gotten behind on their mortgage payments. So this could be either we owe 3 months or 2 months, at least 2 months delinquent. This is May, so it means you would not have made May's payment and would not have made April or March's payment, if you're looking at it right now. There's also homeowners who are on forbearance, so if you're still on forbearance, although that's mostly closed out, that would be owing for at least 3 payments in forbearance. Now, if you owe for payments prior to July 1st, 2019, or somebody does, then that requires special counseling, and I won't go into the details of that because of limited time, but that is something special. Here's the good one. We may provide up to 3 additional months assistance on top of the reinstatement. So let's say you owe for 10 mortgage payments, and that would bring you current. Well, if we add 3 more to it, that gives you time to figure out what you're going to do. Will there be a magic rainbow at the end of the 3 months? Maybe not, but it gives you time. There may be that pot of gold. You may find it. You may be able to figure out what you're going to do. With reinstatement, like if you're on forbearance, the credit's hasn't taken a hit. It may be that you decide that refinancing is in your best interest. Or if you want to move in with your kids, that might be in your best interest. Anyway, it can be combined with loss mitigation, but with forbearances now, they're mostly ending, and most of the lenders now have started doing loan modifications. So if anybody has completed the loan modification, it will not work. If your mortgage is brought current, no matter how it's brought current, there's nothing to reinstate. Okay, and applications for the foreclosure sale, they are expedited. That doesn't mean that we can stop the foreclosure, but we definitely want to try. The lender has to agree. All right, principal curtailment. This is for the programs where you've had that permanent loss of income. So the homeowner who doesn't have, who's had a death of a spouse or homeowner, this is what we look at, up to $50,000 to reduce the balance. Now, this can also be in the way of a lien extinguishment. Get rid of that second. Or it can be, kind of a combination. The examples are death of a spouse or homeowner due or full disability due to COVID. Again, the 3 months. So if anybody has an FHA mortgage, for example, and that is delinquent, it usually takes, you can have those 3 extra months, but then look at refinance or do a streamline refinance after that. So there are some loss mitigation options as long as it hasn't already been finalized. Now, housing expenses. So again, up to $50,000 can be combined with the other programs, and these are for very specific types of housing expenses. Delinquent utility bills, but that's only in conjunction with mortgage assistance. If you're looking for assistance just with utility bills, there may be some other resources available that would be much quicker. Delinquent association fees, condo fees, HOA fees, we can help with that. Again, with all of these, this is from anything due and payable after July 1st, 2019. Delinquent county property taxes. So if there's county taxes that are delinquent and because of a hardship, then that would be something else that could be considered. Also, due or delinquent property insurance, because with insurance that goes quickly, you need to get it paid, so we will accept something that's due. For the rest of them, they have to be delinquent. Okay, so eligibility, I'm just going to go over the ones that we have not already discussed. This one does have income limits, so this is 100% AMI or less, or 150% AMI or less if it's subject to disadvantage, and it can be considered at the time of hardship or at current income, because somebody who had decent income may have lost that income during the pandemic, but now back, so we can consider it during the hardship time itself. Mortgage. So if there is a loan, it had to meet the conforming loan amounts at the time of origination. So for many, many years, the maximum was like $417,000. So if you had a jumbo loan, the jumbo loan would not qualify. But most loans are not jumbo. So reinstatement, 3 or more months due, principal curtailment, permanent loss of income. And again, have to work with a DCA HUD counselor if you have payments prior to 7/1/2019 or amounts over $50,000. And we have seen people who have over $50,000 now. The further we go, the further behind it often gets. For anybody who doesn't know, number one, Georgia is a non-judicial foreclosure state, so again, you can foreclose on the 6th month, but after you miss 2 payments, the lender doesn't have to accept any funds unless you do everything. You want all or nothing. All right, so housing expenses, most current invoices, again, anything prior to July 1st of 2019 or over 50, they must work with the payee. So there are times when you have something like that where the lender or the payee does not want to work. They want it all, they want it right now. And this is where, for the payee discussing, for the housing, discussing it with them, what do they want, when the counselors will help with the other. Now, if you know somebody who needs assistance, we are online. And I recommend reading the frequently asked questions. And this, Georgia Mortgage Assistance.ga.gov. If you have a computer, you can do it there. If you have a smartphone, you can actually do this on your smartphone. And the great part about this is instead of going to FedEx or Kingsville or someplace, for the supporting documents, you take out the smartphone, you take a picture, you upload it automatically. Okay, you can check your, go online and check your status, and you can send an email. Okay, and if you need immediate assistance, always be discussing it with your lender. A lot of people don't like to think about that, because if you don't open that envelope, it never really happens. Please open the envelope and discuss it with the lender if you're behind. All right, now, if anybody speaks another language or just prefers to play with it because it's fun sometimes, down at the bottom of the page, you hit that little Google thing and you can turn that whole application and the website into a different language. So that's kind of fun. If you have an email, but you don't have a smartphone, don't have a computer, just need help, we've got DCA counselors that will work with you. Or if you don't have an email, we could be happy at customer service to, talk you through it online, tell you what you're going to need, get everything together. It takes about 20 minutes online. And customer service, should anybody want to reach out, is at HAF@dca.ga.gov. Okay. All right. For application, so everybody's going to apply, right? Okay. If you know somebody's going to apply, please do have them read it is helpful to read all the information, because an applicant is a homeowner, borrower, and spouse. Homeowner, borrower, and spouse living in the home. And a lot of people will say, but my spouse is not on the mortgage statement. It doesn't matter, because we will consider the spouse's hardship as well. It's not just only homeowner, so we want to include everybody. With foreclosure, if you do have a foreclosure sale date, it does happen quickly in Georgia, so please, if you apply, you would send in that documentation, plus you'd call us and say, hey, I just want to make sure that you know that I have a foreclosure sale date. Foreclosure sale dates are the first Tuesday in the month. So the next one coming up, I think it's June 7th. For the utility, if you're looking for utility assistance with mortgage assistance, then the homeowner needs to stay in touch with that utility, because this is not like we have a checkbook and it goes out quickly. It takes some time. So you want to say, hey, I've applied, I'm looking at getting to the assistance, what do I need to do? And if you need to borrow money and pay it, we still pay the bill. So we don't go back on the utility bill. All right. I think I did that faster than I've ever done it before. Okay. Are there any questions for me about this program? Or do I need to go back to a slide that I went by too fast, or anything? Did I put everybody to sleep?
Ike, if you have any questions, you know how to contact me. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate that. So, I was really surprised that $117,000 went to Madison County residents for help already, so I'm really proud of that. So.
And I will say that people need to apply. We've got 4 in process, is what I saw for this county.
Oh, good.
So 4 in process. So yes.
Well, thank you both. You're welcome to stay. You probably don't want to. I get it. It's the end of the day. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Alita
Turner, Madison County Library.
Good evening. you've all got my quarterly report from last quarter, and I won't try and read that all to you, but just a few highlights. That we did have the Thinking Money for Kids exhibit that was sponsored by the American Library Association and the FINRA Investor Education Foundation. We had a lot of kids and older folks too come and look at the exhibits, and kids learned about budgeting and just what money is and how you use it. So that was a good time. Folks enjoyed that, I think. Other things that have already passed that were a lot of fun is we partnered with the Pilot Club to bring the Georgia Artists with Disabilities exhibit, and that spent about a month in our Jerry Ayers room, and there was some beautiful artwork, paintings, and a piece that was a polished slab of rock surrounded by pine cone basketry. It's really hard to describe, but it's absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. So that was lovely. And we also filled our children's position. We have Ms. Hannah Wolf, and she has come to us with several years of experience working with children and teens elsewhere within our regional system. And so we're very happy to have her, and she's hit the ground running. Which brings us to the big things going forward we're gearing up for summer reading program. And the theme this year is Oceans of Possibilities. So I wore the fish skirt and the mermaid earrings on purpose because it's all about ocean stuff this summer. A lot of fun with that. We are partnering with the Rec Center. They will bring their campers over for 3 visits to the library for some special programming with Ms. Hannah for that. We're also partnering with the Senior Center. You've got, this event itself is not on the calendar yet, but you've got a June calendar and most of the July calendar in your packet. And one of the things we're going to do this summer is start having some adult story time, because story time is not just for kids. So there will be in June a mermaid-themed story time for adults, and I'm also going to take that to the Senior Center and present that there for them. We've got a lot of fun things going on for kids. There will be story time every week for children, as well as several big programs. We'll have Science and Stories and Magician. Those will both be in June and July. We've got a juggling and comedy show and a puppet show. So those will all be happening. We're going to have a weekly movie series on Saturdays. So our contract with the company that lets us show the movies says we can't say outside the library what movies are coming up. But if you call the library and say, hey, what movie are you going to show on Saturday, we can tell you that way. So we popcorn available, and we're going to alternate some sort of more family-friendly movies with some that might be more appealing to grown-ups. So hopefully have something that everybody will enjoy, and they will all be ocean or water-themed some way. So, you know, everything maybe from Finding Nemo to Titanic to, but they'll all have that theme. Also, June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and we have a lady who's coming from the Alzheimer's Foundation, Alzheimer's Association on June 24th. She will give a presentation on understanding Alzheimer's and dementia. So I think that's something most of us encounter in our lives or with our relatives or friends at some point, and knowing more about it is very useful. Also in July, to continue the ocean theme, we will have a science program that's probably going to be about oceans and hurricanes. And I've talked with John and Pam Knox, who are a meteorologist and a climatologist both at the University of Georgia. and they're gonna come and probably tag team that top. One other thing to mention is, in terms of artwork, we do have a display right now in the Jerry Ayers room. Don Hunter is a local photographer, and he has a beautiful photography exhibition of Madison County pollinators. It's not just butterflies and bees. So pictures of a lot of different flowers and various sorts of bugs engaged in pollinating them. And so it's a nice chance to learn about some of our local nature. And we have a blood drive coming up on June 7th. So I know there's a need for that. If anybody's looking for a chance to give blood, we can get you signed up. Any questions for me?
I'd like to tell you thank you. You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Excited about the summer, excited about the summer programs. You'll notice out the back door, the senior center, the splash pad. The
Yes.
signage is up. Looks great. I think it says Rotary Splash. It's water themed. There you go.
Yes, it pairs well with it.
I see a big busy summer for you. You know,
Yes.
with the splash pad is such an added bonus for the rec department, for the library, and for the senior center for an
Yeah.
attraction draw.
Yeah, all right there together.
Yeah, it's really good deal. Thank you so much for being so involved with our youth.
Thank you, thank you. It is our pleasure, and.
What time is your blood drive?
That is from 1 to 5, I
Okay.
believe. Pretty sure that's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if any other questions come up, invite me at the library.
All right. Moving on. First, we have a public hearing. Consider the moratorium. I'm going to, you have the draft before you. Christopher, I know this has been a tag team effort. Look up.
I'm here, I'm here.
An effort between County Attorney Mr. Pruitt, Christopher, Christina, and myself. There's been a couple small changes for the public. Don't panic on the moratorium. We've asked to exclude in this resolution industrial, and we've also asked for Mike to prepare to exclude non-conforming lots. In other words, if it's non-conforming and you're trying to bring it back into conformity, we would look at those. We will not look at going from conformity to non-conforming for conditional use purposes. We're not looking at those. But if you have a piece of property that you're just trying to make it right into the county zoning, we will still look at those. Am I correct in all that, Mike?
Yes, sir, the two exceptions that we added, so it would be, the public hearing is on continuing the moratorium for a time period to be determined by the board here tonight, but with two exceptions to it as it was imposed previously, which is applications to rezone existing non-conforming lots in a manner that will bring them into conformity, and applications and submittals for plat approvals, dividing an existing parcel into two or more parcels if it's in an industrial zone.
Correct. Christopher, anything to add to that?
No, the non-conforming, bringing into conformity, understanding that it's just the zone and not the split.
That's right.
It wouldn't be splitting property if you had a 2-acre A1, just throwing something way out of my head that really should be an RR, and you would like to do that during the moratorium, we will help you come into
A
conformity.
lot of the parcel already exists.
Parcel already exists. We're not creating a new parcel. We're only working with pre-existing parcels.
I don't know if y'all were on that email chain, but it was pretty impressive to watch and be a part of, I guess you could say, as to how they all work together. It was very impressive to be able to bounce ideas. And a lot of these things that we had said early on, or just several weeks ago, we started noticing, well, wait a minute, we drew a line in the sand, but we really need to broaden what we can and cannot do. And it just happened to be a couple came in the office like, you're right, we may have made that a little too strict because this really is not the intent. It was the splits we were after to get our paperwork right, but really impressed on this. This is up for a vote tonight, is right?
Yes.
Yes.
Open public hearing.
It's open public hearing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's open public hearing right now. Anybody have any questions regarding this moratorium resolution? Sure.
My name is Drago Savage, I'm with Culvert, but, I'm just happy to see this moratorium taking place, but I do hope that during that time, everything's looked at when it comes to subdivisions, and I guess the best way I could sum it up is, we want Madison County now to be the easiest place to build a subdivision, but a place where subdivisions are really well built, and they're coming, and I think that should be the goal of this 90-day or whatever days you choose, is to look at all the rules regarding subdivisions and change whatever is necessary. Like I said, to make sure that this is a good place to build good subdivisions, not just an easy place for developers to develop. So, thank you.
Drago, I couldn't have said it any better. That's the exact intent. You stated it right there. That's the
And
exact
again,
intent.
I commend the board again on taking the time to look at all that. I think it's very important to all of us, for sure.
Your sentiments has been expressed to me more than 100 times, I promise you. I mean, I'm hearing it everywhere. Thank you, board, for getting together and putting something in place that's gonna be the best for all of us. I mean, I'm hearing it at the gas stations, I'm hearing it at the hardware stores, you know, at the restaurants. People are proud that we're taking the time to get this right. Any discussion? Anyone else? All right, well, we'll close the public hearing. Chairman's report.
No, we
We
gotta
gotta
vote.
vote on it.
Well, yeah.
Gotta make a motion.
Okay, you're right.
Sorry, I have one question.
Sure.
Do you have a time frame?
That's what we
They're about
gotta
to
say.
vote on that, yeah.
Yes,
They're
sir.
deciding their motion.
Yeah, it'll be in the motion.
Yeah.
Yes. Closing the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Gentlemen, I'll ask for a motion to approve or deny this resolution. Please include a time frame.
That, Mike, I'd asked a question to Mike regarding that. In your experience in the other jurisdictions that have entered into this type thing, is 60, 90, 120 days, what is the norm, I guess?
I've seen anything from 90 days to a full year. If you can always extend again, if you know, assuming you've been working in good faith and you just need more time, 6 months is probably a median. I would probably kick it with the chairman's permission to ask Mr. Roach, you know, what kind of time frame they're looking at.
Well, in regards to that, I would like for it to be long enough that it allows zoning and planning to put together a program that's workable, but also that we see an end to it, too, that we don't roll it over for the simple going through the motions of rolling it over. So.
I'm going as fast as I can, I swear. My goal is not to let it exceed past July. To have a game plan and start putting the game plan, well, I mean, we got a game plan, that was misspoken, I apologize. Surprised council didn't. To have the situation in hand, all the answers ready to go at the end of June and begin the process of solving these problems in July. At the end of July, have it in place, ready to truck forward, to continue on with the possibility maybe after the county comp plan comes in that we have to update ourselves again. We're going through 20 years of backlog, finding issues. And hopefully in the communication with Hall Consultant moving forward with the county itself, issues are coming out and concerns, maybe issues is the wrong words, but concerns that this moratorium won't be able to encompass entirely. but I feel more than comfortable telling y'all I will have it done by July, come hell or high water.
Does that in your mind give you time for staff training, getting everything, we talked about a new program system
Yes.
that you're gonna be adopting?
We had a meeting today, speaking on that. We're hoping, middle of June to be able to go live, which would coincide with us being able to go wide open at the end of July. I can plant a seed and watch the corn grow, but it's God's grace to let the rain fall, and when it comes to IT and a smooth transition, I'm not the man to judge the forecast by.
Christopher, you said the end of July, so you mean by August 1st?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. August 1st, being able to come to y'all with a plan for your approval that's made its way through the chain of command up to y'all.
And then at that point, so that means that if you have ordinance, and regulation amendments drafted, you're still looking at, it takes roughly 45 days to get through P&Z and Board of Commissioners hearings and then get them approved.
So then we're back at the 6 month, October 1, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, so
No.
fastest possible time frame, if it were presented, if it sort of was presented conceptually to you at the end of July, then it could be put on P&Z agenda for August and adopted by you at your zoning hearings at the first meeting in September. So that would be roughly a 90-day time frame, but that might be a little ambitious.
I'm looking at trying to get it before P&Z in July, and then to have an approved draft
Well,
to them.
I'm going to interject here, and while I appreciate the optimism of moving it as quickly as possible, but by the time y'all get word, check the word, it gets processed through the appropriate channels, gives us time to review, comment, I make the motion that we, the 180 days be inserted in the resolution as presented.
Second.
Discussion. I'm sorry. Motion by Mr. Dawson, second by Mr. Chandler. Discussion. What concerns me about the 180 days, I'm just throwing a concern out there, is you're still going to have people that sons try to build a house, and they're going to give them 5 acres, and we're technically going to shut down all building for 6 months if we do it this way.
That's an issue we're running into now.
Yeah.
On newly created parcels.
Right.
Under the creative parcels. So, I think, I don't mind the 180 days, but I think we need to put criteria on what 180 days look like. If it's gonna be across the board, that's fine, but I can tell you, we've already got people in line that we put off and says, you're gonna be looking at 90 days. Well, my son's, he's purchasing this property, they're closing on it, he's trying to build a house, are going to come in and wants to pull permits, how long is it gonna take? And I used one for reference the other day. I said, look, by the time you get your well in, by the time you get your perk test back, by the time you get your septic tank letter, the moratorium's gonna be relatively just about over, and then you'll go through the rezone process. And I would say that we have a double handful of individuals trying to build a house. But I'll stand behind the board's decision. It's not my choice. I'm just throwing out there some things that we're seeing in the office now. And Christopher, you might want to enlighten us if we.
Yeah.
I know it's not your decision to make on the vote.
I'm dealing with 4 such cases, and even without the 4 coming in, that's the reason I'm trying to be as timely as possible, but also effective in carrying out my job duties. Could I? Is it wrong to make a suggestion? I'm sorry.
Well, it's in discussion, but I'm
Okay,
asking
in discussion.
for an opinion.
An opinion, could we readdress it in 90?
Well, I think, as part of the discussion, my intent would be not to push it to the end date, but to give plenty of time to manifest what we need to from your office, from staff, process it, again, through P and Z and through the public hearing process, it needs to be, and to me, you're not doing it before, 3.5, 4 months, and that's tight to me, but then it doesn't give any opportunity for us to review, comment, find anything. So again, I say that to say I would love to be able to come back, 30, 45 days, 60, possibly, and say, we're where we want to be. We can amend and lift the moratorium. However, what I don't want to be is people come to your office and putting you and other staff in a position where we'll have you ready to go in 90 days. In 90 days, it does not come to fruition, or, we have some objections or something else, and it puts staff in a position that's unable to, to build trust that we want you to build.
Yes, sir.
I think there's issues, go ahead, Bruce.
Well, I agree with what Derek's saying there, because I've seen long enough, I've been here long enough on the commission to see that in the past, we've tried to pull some things and do it quickly. And yes, it may be to accommodate some people, all right? But then in the end, we sort of did it too fast, and we didn't get everything done that we needed to get done. And so it's unfortunate that we may have some people that want to pull the trigger right now and do some things, and, they've got all the right intentions. They're trying to do it the right way.
Yes.
But I'd rather wait and be a little bit, and make sure that we've got all the things sort of, the I's dotted and the T's crossed.
Yes, sir.
And go into this thing feeling confident that we're not going to have to go back and then, as Farman saying, relick the calf on this stuff. All right?
Yes, sir.
So, I'm in agreement, and whatever the days is,
Quote that, Zach.
I just don't think that, I don't know that 90 days is gonna work. 180, as Derek says, it's one of those things, if we get over there and move it that far, I guess we could at some point, right? Say that we
have achieved.
have achieved it and
Oh,
ended early.
yeah, I was about to say, yes, there's absolutely no restriction on getting your amendments done and ending it before this date, if that's, pans out. But, yeah, I was sort of thinking I think what Commissioner Doster was suggesting was perhaps, under-promise and over-deliver rather than the other way around.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I would like to see happen. And so I think I like the 180 days from my part of the discussion.
I do too, because I believe that as we're going through the process, we need to be very methodical in it. I think that there's going to be training as things are presented to us, changes are presented to us. There's also going to be training required for the zoning and planning committees and them to become familiar with this. And what I want to avoid is the situation where we've had several times in the past few presentations where we end up, for want of a better word, challenging the decision the zoning and planning made or presented to the Board of Commissioners based on our interpretation of what our codes are.
Yes.
And I think that if you're able to pull your side together of it, and here again, I think it's very aggressive to say you can do it in 60 days, but by the time you get your staff in tune with this, and then the part-time folks, which is the same thing we are, in zoning and planning in tune with it, then present it to us, and us have a chance to digest it beyond a couple of hours of a meeting here, we're back in 180 days. And we're presented here with the moratorium with the opportunity to do this right.
Yes.
Which is something that we're trying to correct, things that I will not say that were done wrong in the past, but every opportunity was not recognized that people are taking advantage of now.
Yes, sir.
And this is what's going to do that. I think Mr. Drago summed it up very well. If we don't get it right here, we might as well not do it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
Yes.
See, the other component of this, and number one, I appreciate your zeal in trying to get this closed up as quickly as possible, but, unrealistic pressure created on you and your staff. And I just want to guard against that. We don't want to run you or them off either.
So I'll be down there every day wanting to know what you got done.
Because I know you talk about this, I can envision having worked out there in the workforce where I'm at.
Yes.
And, you know, and taking on projects like this. There's always gonna be things that are gonna come up. There're gonna be some delays and things that you don't anticipate. So I think it's gonna be better, as Derek expressed, to go out there and give enough time, and if we can shorten it, you know, and come back and we got it all together,
Yes, sir.
we say, hey, great job, and let's go for it.
Yes, sir.
Well, and for the record, for the newspaper side of this, and I can do it in a minute after we take a vote, but we gotta make sure people clearly understand that a moratorium does not mean you cannot pull permits and build a house. We get it every day. You put a moratorium, I can't build my house. You can build your house. You can pull permits. You just cannot do a rezone or a split of property. We're getting phone calls like, what do you mean I can't build my house? If your property's outright yours and it's already zoned, you can build your house. All right. I just need that cleared up because we're getting blistered with phone calls on that. And a lot of people's come in, and we are issuing a lot of permits, and it's still inspected. But it's only after a phone call of having to understand. All right, any other discussion?
I was gonna ask, just to save counting days, could we just go ahead and insert November 23rd as the date it's being extended to?
County days is November 19th.
Oh, you already counted them. Okay, there you go, November 19th.
Well, I just did that.
Thank you. So I amend my motion for November 19th is the date to be inserted in the moratorium as, or the resolution language has been presented.
Amended motion by, Chairman Doster, second by Commissioner Chandler. No discussion? Actually, it's on you. Yes.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
You get to sleep through the summer, thanks.
Yeah, not quite.
2 hours a night.
They'll, yeah, we'll be all right. Before. Arpeggio update, I think they're about 75% complete. They currently have roads and rail sources defined and are working on industrial sources. Once the map is completed, Arpeggio will be able to finish up the ordinance and language and then bring it for us. And I think there's still a public hearing in that somewhere.
Yes, I think there is
Okay.
too, but
Yeah.
they have to, they've got to send us their draft ordinances.
That's
and
correct.
then we'll make in-house changes to it, to specify to the county.
And I point out that is for the noise.
That's the
Yes,
noise.
that's for
Yeah,
the noise
just for the
ordinance.
public out there,
So
that's what that is.
the 75% is there's a noise study map, so they have to gather information from noise studies from the railroad, from the highways, from, just all your different aspects like that. So once they get that, then that gives them a guideline on what type of ordinance we need with the meeting that we had with them. So then they'll send us their draft, and then we'll start our edits at that point. So they're getting close to starting the draft.
We need to follow up with them and see when we need to have that public input session.
Okay.
Because we don't want to get
Too far in?
too far in and
Okay.
then get some feedback from the community.
All right.
I know they were wanting to do some like various weather, where the barometric pressure changed.
Yeah,
Sorry, but
yeah,
yeah,
he said that the lady that was on the computer, that she could change that in her system to accommodate those. Sorry.
Remember something else.
Yeah.
Y'all may have a copy of this, but it says, finance director position, but actually, we have a lot of positions open. I say a lot, we probably got about 10 different positions open in the county right now, that we're looking to fill. We got everything from, get the list, or we'll send you a list to show you what all we've got. Times is hard, all I can tell you. It's hard to find people. Wanted to touch on a couple of things here briefly. The Taste of Madison County event that was held by the Chamber was a huge success, held down at Cliff Griffith Park in Comer. I really had wished that we had a drone down there to do an overhead flyover so people could see. We have one. It just wasn't thought of. I think there was 18 different vendors. Y'all was one of them. Iron Pin was one of them. But it was a great turnout. It was, at one point in time, around 11:15, it was standing room only and trying to get through the crowd. Great deal. Larry was there. I know a lot of y'all were there, but anyway, hats off to the Chamber, hats off to all the vendors for that. I think in a previous meeting just here recently, I may have mentioned the summit, the third grade summit that was held, the Madison County Extension Office, and Keep Madison County Beautiful. We had 362 third graders representing all 5 elementary schools during a 2-day event held at the transfer station. Your wife was one of the volunteer helpers there. What a great event. If your child come home talking about wanting to drag you out of the house to help them pick up litter, that'd be my fault. But I requested every child there to go home and tell your parents, let's go outside and clean up the side of the road. So, with that being said, it was a really good 2-day event. Rec Department summer camps coming up, volleyball camps, dates are below, you'll get a copy of this, Zach. We have basketball camps coming up, basketball clinics coming up, dance camp, soccer camp, and then the Recreation Department has finalized all the dates, but one thing to keep in mind, which is actually it's already booked, but is our summer youth program. There was a great article. I think you got the article in the paper last week about us receiving the $13,000 donation. Well, not a donation, but a grant award to help offset some of the costs for the youth summer camp. The Rec Department will also be holding youth all-star games for 10U softball, 12U softball district tournaments during the week of June, and the 10U softball state tournaments the week latter part of June. Fall sport registration is now open through July 1st. There's an online website for everybody to go to. I'll speak it out for the ones on video that may be watching and the ones that's here. A little late to get it in the newspaper. Voting is going on. Tomorrow's the last day. It's critical. Tomorrow is the last day to vote. E-Splosh is on the ballot. I know this is all going to be read after the fact, but for the ones that is here or watching on video online, how critical E-Splosh is to the county. Any sales tax collected is better than property taxes, hands down, no discussion. It's always the best tax. It is up for renewal. It is not a new Splosh tax. It's not a 1 more cent added sales tax. It is just to extend the current sales tax. I know there was a lot of stuff in last week's paper about it. Not much discussion's been about it prior to. So if anybody's watching, if anybody in the room hasn't voted, please keep that on your mind. Contact your friends, contact your family. Gentlemen, if the E-Splosh don't pass, property taxes will only continue to rise because that debt is out there and we have to pay for it some way. So I encourage everybody to stand behind any Splosh. Statement of remarks, comments? Yes, sir.
I'll just make a comment on your report and on the noise ordinance. You know, I keep hearing the term ordinance. We need ordinances, noise ordinances that cover a lot of things. And like I said, I thank the board for their efforts, but industry and one noise ordinance is not going to be enough. We need to look at all types of ordinances to go with the growth that's coming to the county.
Yes.
So I'd like to try to encourage the board to, I got a list that I gave you guys, and there's all types of noise ordinances available that could be adopted. you know, but more so than a noise ordinance, we need noise ordinances that cover a whole variety of things as the county grows.
I will,
Yes, sir.
I will show you that, and I will apologize when I say the word noise ordinance. It is noise ordinances.
Okay.
They will be touched in many different areas. I may just not be articulating that well enough, but it is gonna be in various areas, various times, that it's a big multitude of ordinances. But I do appreciate the reminder, just in case.
Well, I appreciate the.
No, just in case, I do appreciate the comments. Anyone else have any comments, on tonight's agenda? All right, old business. Consider a referendum, for sale by liquor by the drink. Gentlemen, this is a vote just to put it on the ballot. Liquor by the drink, Madison County. Any discussion, gentlemen? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve or deny putting this on the November ballot.
I think it's time to allow the citizens to have the choice.
I have a motion by Commissioner May. Have a second. Second by Commissioner Adams. Any discussion, gentlemen?
No, I'll just comment, I'm gonna support this, but just as a reminder to everybody, it's fault, and I'm not gonna try to get into the legal definitions and whatnot, but it's for restaurant-based items. I mean,
Correct.
we're not trying to create
This is liquor by the...
package sales or any other undue things that people come to think of, juke joints or whatnot, but for restaurants, I've heard it long enough that we can't get it to a restaurant, i.e., you know, something steakhouse or whatever, because, they're not allowed to serve, so I'll support that. We just wanted to comment on why we're doing it.
Thank you, Derek. Any other comments on that?
And what we're supporting is the opportunity to get on the ballot.
That's it.
Just to put it on the.
That's it.
That's correct. As, Brian, any discussion?
No, good.
Mr. May, your, wording is correct, and for Zach, it is spelled out liquor by the drink, not retail sales of distilled spirits. All right? No other discussion? Frank?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Monumental. Just saying. Mike Pruitt, would you have ever thought? I gotta pick it up. Consider, new business, consider approving camper permit extension. Do we wanna take these up separate? I know Eddie and Christopher's here. You wanna take them up separate? All right, consider approving a camper permit extension for Michael Hoddu. Mike is here. Mike, would you like to tell us what you're gonna be doing, buddy, and why you're gonna be doing it? Or, yes. Just tell us briefly what's going on.
Well, I'm in the middle of a new construction, and we live in the camper, and my camper permit will be expired before my construction permit. So, with 4 kids, I can't sleep on the street, so I'm asking you guys to extend my permit for the campers.
All right.
So I can stay in it, hopefully finish construction in the next 6 months.
Okay, and I know, Mr. Hodge had made me aware of something prior to, and Eddie's here, and Christopher both, and we'll refer back to them. But you're doing a concrete house, I guess, I'm assuming that's similar to Mr. Cox's house, if anybody's seen it, it's a concrete wall house?
Well, it's an isolated, concrete form, but it is essentially a concrete core wall. And, with everything delayed so much, I'm in the mercy of the vendors. And as I explained to you outside, you know, waiting 8 months for just the forms, and now 7.5 weeks for concrete, I'm dead in the water. I can't put the roof on, even if I have all the materials, I can't go any further until my my walls are up, and unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to make it faster, you know.
All right. Is that it?
Well, my question is, yes, for the extension part, yes. But with, you know, as Mr. Myers and the lady, Ms. Hester, you know, put it, everybody got affected by this pandemic, right? So much so that the federal government stepping in, putting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to help out folks. So I guess what I try to say is, what's going to happen if I can't finish the house, cannot, in 6 months' time, which you guys may or may not approve today? Am I gonna be evicted from my camper I bought with my own hard-earned dollar or my own hard-earned property? Or what's, I just wanna know my options, that's all.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay, I got a question, I guess, for Eddie now. So, this, permit was originally given in what year?
This permit was originally, goes back to 2017, at which point we issued, let me get my notes here. February 2017, the permit was issued for a house. The following October, a T-pole inspection was passed and temporary power was issued. We went all the way to, with no inspections after that, to March of 21, where it was re-permitted. No inspections were still on site done. An engineer's letter was substituted for the foundation inspection. That was done in October of 21. We received that engineer's letter in March of 22, and we extended the permit in April of 22, and extended it to July 12th of 22, with a note that he had to have a passing inspection in order to continue the permit's life.
All right. So, I got a question, Mr. Hodgson. So, given, where are you at now? Are you, with this extension, do you think you can have something built in 6 months? Because
my building is up, my walls are up. Once I poured the vertical walls, I'm building a single-story home. The next step is the roof, which is, lumber is available, I can get it, that's not a problem. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I can build.
all right. So I guess that was why I was asking why you were inquiring, though, that if we granted a 6-month extension that you didn't, I guess there was a question in your mind that you can complete it in 6 months, because you were asking about what do you do if it's not complete. So that's what I was just trying to get an understanding of where we're at, because, I mean, this has, realistically, I understand the things with COVID, and I understand the issues with getting materials and stuff like that. I mean, it's affected all of us, as you said. But, you know, we have issues with folks in the county that sometimes want to put campers up, and, you know, and then our temporary houses that they're not conforming to whatever, and then we have issues with those. And so we don't want to create situations where this just prolongs this and keeps it going. So I guess I want to feel some comfort if we are giving these permits out, that we feel confident that living in the camper, that there's some understanding that while you're building and you're living in the camper, the expectation is that it's going to be built and the camper's only a temporary living spot.
Yes, sir.
That if for whatever, after that amount of time, a year, and then maybe another additional 16 months, which makes it 18 months type thing, that if you can't get it built, then maybe the expectation is that you can't hardly live in the camper. You're going to have to find you some other type of dwelling or whatever to live in, rent something somewhere while you're finishing your building, because this cannot be a permanent, ongoing thing, I guess is from my standpoint.
Yes. Well, I can assure you that this guy is not made for living in a camper, so.
I understand.
Especially with 4 children and a wife who's big as
Right.
6'3", we're not, how should I put this delicately, comfortable, per se. So if anybody in this room or in this county wanna get out of the camper faster than me, try it.
Yeah, I understand, and so that's the reason, yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
This gentleman over here's got the same issue, and his wife, I understand. But this is the thing that I have sat here and I've talked about. We have people that abuse this.
Yes.
So I just wanna make sure that if, and I'm only one person on this board up here, but if we do an extension, that the expectation is that something has got to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's got to move forward. And that if you start realizing in that period of time that things are not moving forward, you know, living in the camper, then it's somewhat on you to figure out, you know, a better living condition, because, as you say, that's not very good
No.
for your family of 4 there. So I'm just sort of wanting to make a little speech about that, just to get that out there in the open. You know, that's the expectation, and it's also for other folks that might be talking about building. We put a moratorium on sort of some of this stuff now, but people with conforming lots can still build, and they can put a camper out there while they're building, but they need to also have that expectation that it's expected that you're gonna complete it in that time frame, which is usually, what is it, a year that we
Correct.
allow?
Ordinance states you have a year with an active building permit, and then, in order to extend it, it has to be, approved by the board, 6-month increments.
6 months. And basically, if you sort of used up what you say is the 18 months, I mean, that's, you know, it's, you gotta make some other type of arrangement, I guess what.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, can I interject too, that
Absolutely.
building a house and this hardship permit for occupying an RV are 2 different things.
Yeah.
So this is section 8.6 of the zoning ordinance, and it allows this temporary permit to be granted first by P&Z for 6 months. It has to come to the board to be continued, and it's to address situations where, or only to allow occupancy of an RV as a residence where necessitated by financial hardship. And these usually come up, well, most places have something like this, and it's usually when there's a natural disaster and, you know, people are waiting on insurance money, and they have, you know, you have to live in the RV in the driveway while you're waiting on insurance money to fix your house. Building a new house is not in itself a financial hardship, and we would, I think it'd be fair to say we expect, yeah, we would hope people don't create a financial hardship for themselves by building a house.
Right, but, and I understand that, but I also, this disaster thing, I guess the situation where we're at, like a lot of things in the county, the one thing I'm looking at it now is that I somewhat, with these permits, I feel like, this is my personal opinion as commissioner, I'm not speaking for this whole board up here, because all these guys vote or whatever, but that the past years with COVID and such things, and hardships have happened. I know this one gentleman, his wife over here lost a job and those kind of things. So that somewhat is a personal disaster if it's not a disaster.
Well, exactly. Certainly that fits. I just wanted to get across that it's not this automatic thing, oh, you're building a house, that means you can live in a RV for 6 months. That's not the case.
And so what I want to make sure is clear, that if this board decides to move forward and do that, that the expectation of folks is that living in an RV out there while you're building a house is not something that's just normal, as been stated here, and a normal expectation that if you have some problems, that you can just continue to live in the RV while you're building the house, okay?
I understand, I think I understand completely, and to kind of react to the gentleman, that is really designed for people with financial hardship. I just want to make this very clear that the financial part of it was never an issue. The reason I didn't build the house, as Eddie or Mr. Pritchett said, that I applied for this permit in 2017. Well, I would argue with that because I applied for a permit in 2017, which I got approved, and then for various reasons I couldn't complete the construction of that year, which I came back and reapplied for a brand new permit. So this is not this permit, this is a brand new permit, which I paid for again, and I had no issue with that. And of course, that happened middle of COVID, and my financials were in and are in place to complete this house. And I can prove it to you. It's never been about, I ran out of money and I bid too much, more than I can chew. No. I have the money. It's simply the very reason why these folks were here making a presentation, helping out all these folks laid off from factories making my forms, which the factory did shut down for 8 months. And unfortunately, I decided not to go lumber or just frame, wood frame or stick built house for various reasons. And that's my right to decide what I build on my own property.
Sure.
I want a long lasting, I moved to this county 14 years ago and I want to stay in this county and I want to live my, whatever I got left in this
Right.
county.
And my point, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I know it's been, this whole situation has created this. And but I just wanted to, my statements were made just to make it clear that, if we as a board decided to go forward and do a 6-month extension, it's not one of those things where the living in that RV, if we add a 6-month extension on it, that come back and ask for another 6 months, because it's probably just not, from my opinion, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not going to, obviously, I just need to know what I need to do,
All right.
but I heard that I have to secure some type of residence or rent or something, which I was going to when we used to live in Comer, and when we decided to build, we were renting in Comer because we knew we were gonna build, and instead of purchasing that house, the landlord sold it and gave us 30 days to get out. And of course, I was scrambling trying to find rent. I had, at that time, 3 children in high school in Madison County, right? So, and believe it or not, I looked everywhere, I called every agent, we could not find a single home for rent in Madison County at that time. There was one single white trailer available for $1,800 a month. I mean, I might be Hungarian, but I'm not stupid.
I understand.
I mean, I'm sorry, but, and they were gonna ask me for 6 months down because how the landlord burned about the rent situation back in COVID, and I wasn't gonna pay that. So I went and bought 2 campers, one for the girls, and one for me and my wife and my son, and I was like, man, we're gonna have to squeeze it, but we'll get through it. And I did everything by the book. Get permitted. I have no intention living in a camper. Matter of fact, I hate living in a camper.
I understand.
I think we got it.
I I got it. I just make sure that I just wanted to make sure that we had that discussion.
Just so I know, what's the end date?
Huh?
What's the end date?
The end date, I'll go ahead here. I'll make a motion. Or, Chris, you want to say something?
There's a little more. Going by the book isn't necessarily true in this count. County ordinance allows you to live in a camper, 1 camper on the property, hardship or otherwise, on the property, and you yourself just admitted to 2, and that's one of the reasons we're here. Mr. Pritchett was out and about. The county allows you to legally live in a camper on your property with a temporary power pole and a septic in place. A camper, regardless of family size or person size. I'm 6'3" too, and I like a king bed. But right there in section 8.6 that you're referring to is one that has to meet all the criteria and inspections of a utility, approved septic system, and approved hookups. So it's, with this location, and the issue that's brought up by staff, isn't the fact that it's just a 6-month continuation. Mr. Pritchett, if you want.
I did go and did a, status check on this, this past Friday, the 20th, just, and took pictures of the site, just for this board's review.
Same way we have no magistrate cases.
Correct. So this is the T-pole, and as you can see, they've got power run.
Doesn't meet standard.
Correct. And this is the site, this is what is on site at this point right now. You can see the forms for the structure, and in the background you can see the campers. There are, septic comes down, runs over here. Septic system is located beside the house. There are 2 campers and 2 storage buildings. This is looking at it from the reverse angle.
3 storage buildings.
Yeah.
Storage buildings are plumbed.
We have plumbing running from these storage buildings. We have 2 campers, 1 camper here, 1 storage building over on the other side. We have some sort of discharge into a pit of some sort right here. We have some possible gray water discharge right here. Again,
That's
this is
the
the
pit.
pit. A little smaller storage building with some animals and stuff in the back.
Chicken coop.
Chicken coop.
With chicken.
And this is on the other side. You've got a storage building with plumbing running out of it. We've got another camper. And this is another angle with it. So we have multiple storage buildings with plumbing out of them, and at least 2 campers on site. Coming around to the back side of the storage building, there's an AC unit in one of the buildings, and you see propane tanks.
The propane tank is not connected to anything, it just sits there.
Okay, there's, so, and that's
This goes
what's on
further
site.
than just living in the camper permitted. In the county, it's also legal to use a structure, section 6.1 through 6. He's got the computer in front of me. This is what we have issues for across the board with derelict housing, makeshift septic, across the board. If it was done by the book, 1 camper hooked into a system with an approved electrical inspected, it wouldn't be as much of an issue as multiple campers, makeshift electric, makeshift dwellings also on the property.
All right, so just to get it straight, what we're talking about right now is a 6-month extension. What you're talking about there, I get it, I see it. Every one of those are violations of something. That can be handled through your office. But what we are talking about is a camper
Extended
extension.
1 camper, 1 septic system for 1 family on 1 parcel.
Correct.
We just
Now,
want to make sure that y'all know that
yes,
if y'all do approve it, if there are violations, we will be forced to move on.
I get that, 100%,
We just want
100%
full
understand.
disclosure.
Huh?
We just want full disclosure that y'all know.
Correct.
That's y'all.
What you go out and write tomorrow is not tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is the camper. Now, the second camper, it deems to be an issue only because the ordinance says 1. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you that I think our ordinance needs to be relooked at.
Yeah.
Because a man got 4 people ain't gonna sleep in that camper. I've had one just like it, and it's not possible. So if you've got a big family, a birth family, they're all your children, we need to fix our ordinance. Now, is it wrong today? Yes, it is. Is there any citations in there? Sure they are. But as far as the 6-month extension stands, I would, that's right. Well, the septic has to be big enough for the house to begin with. The septic tank people, do you have a septic tank letter? Okay, and it was size appropriated for the house.
Correct.
So the second, and for one camper, but. Yeah. So we can look at our ordinance, and, because this topic has gotten real broad, but you've got to keep in mind of other effects, none which includes this, none which told him to buy 2 campers, none which told him to do that. But it does bring in the reality of COVID, it does bring in the reality of shortened supplies and the extended wait times. That's all I'm concentrating on right now. For this board to vote to extend a camper permit, I guess it would be this board's decision to vote on, to leave both until this home's completed, or to have him remove one until this home's completed. That's the topic. The citations that come tomorrow is, well, no, that is y'all's business and state law and Madison County codes. That don't have anything to do with the extension of having a place to live for the next 6 months. So that's my recommendation to the board, is to understand the vote.
We just need to know how the vote affects us.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Kirk, you started off with a vote,
Well,
and we stopped halfway through.
I don't, this is not actually in my jurisdiction. I don't know. The persons that in might want to make the.
Yeah, we're close, and we'll sort of line there. And this is, obviously, this information, I know it complicates it, it clouds it, and I sympathize with the time delays. Anybody done anything building wise? I mean, we're waiting on, we're talking about 4 or 5 months on windows, and that's pretty basic. Anything like that, so I sympathize with that, and it would be in my mind, I think it'd be in best interest for this, for us, obviously for that, to extend it within what the ordinance allows. Again, what else I see here concerns me, and we certainly have to let the code enforcement and building inspection know that I support your job, and so you have to do what you need to do, and that don't be getting in your way of doing that.
Yes, sir.
So is that in the form of a motion?
I put in form of a motion that we will grant the 6-month extension as the ordinance allows for the appropriate use of this camper for temporary purposes while residence is being completed.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Chandler, second by Commissioner Kirk. Any discussion, gentlemen?
The confirmation on the motion, the way you phrased it is 1 camper.
That's what the ordinance allows you.
Because that's what the ordinance allows. All right. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none? No, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I sympathize with you completely on this. I understand trying to get all your ducks in a row, trying to get your house built and all that kind of stuff. And I get how all of this probably progressed, where you get a camper and you think that's going to be okay. Oh no, we need more space. Let's get another camper. Oh, these other 2 storage buildings, what's going on with those?
The one you see on the left is our laundry room / bathroom.
I got you.
/ everybody's closet. You live with 4, a 23-year-old, a 19-year-old girl, 20-year-old boy, and 17 going on 18-year-old twins, boy and girl. You can only imagine the amount of clothes. 10% of it is what's at the side. The rest is in storage. But even the 10% will fill out that storage building, or that mini building, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
with everybody's clothes, and yes, there is a bathroom in there, I don't know why, I mean, I bought a pretty big camper and it's really comfortable, but for me to take a shower, I would bust the wall out. It's just not, you know, and we all kind of big people. So I decided to go ahead and put a bathroom in there, which is connected to the septic system. And the other building is our kitchen, because my wife, also Hungarian, cooks every day, and it is what we prefer, the way of living, you know, and we raise our own animals, and we process our own meat, and that requires us prepared meat as well, you know. So yes, there is a kitchen in there with a cooktop, a propane cooktop, and a sink, which is gray water going out to the property, which I think it's allowed, even campers are allowed to do that, right?
No.
Gray water, no?
No.
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 To the bank.
No.
Okay, so I'm not denying that I'm in violation of a bunch of codes here. Fine, let's sit down, figure this out, but as you stated, how I'm gonna split my family up? I understand y'all ordinance, y'all code is one camper per family, per lot. I understand that.
And I'm just asking here and going through this exercise, Eddie, was there ever any permits issued for these outbuildings?
No, sir. This was after the temp hole, this was the only other site inspection that has been conducted.
And in
That
this,
was in 17.
and in the building application, I assume that they didn't ask y'all to come look at footings or foundations?
No, sir, for the existing structure that he has out there now, an inspection was never requested. In lieu of that, we received an engineer's letter.
From someone who never looked at the work prior to it being done?
Well, they looked at the engineer, signed off on the footings itself, for the structure
I
that's
think
there.
you have an option to do it both ways.
Yeah, we can accept an engineer's letter, in lieu of an inspection, and that's a common practice.
Sure.
May I, say something here real quick?
Please.
Just answering Mr. Pritchett's, statement that for the existing structure was never an inspection requested for the footings. Not that there was an inspection requested, it was requested twice. Once because Mr. Pritchett didn't show up, what I heard after I was told I was in the morning slot. And after 1 o'clock, I called the office, the lady answered and said, oh no, Eddie is off today. I was like, thanks for letting me know. So we moved our concrete board. The second time, he even showed up on the property, but he was 4 hours late. And then by the time I had 6 concrete trucks, I can only hold concrete so long in the trucks. So I told him, I took pictures, and I told him, pour the concrete. And then I had the engineer come out and did what he had to do. But he came to the property.
That is correct, that is correct.
So please don't state that there was never an inspection requested.
There was
What was the date of that?
The date? I gotta look back on my notes, I don't know top of my head.
I mean, was it this year, last year?
Oh, absolutely, it was probably,
It was in 21.
no, it was this year, it was a couple of, 2-3 months ago. Absolutely, he showed up at 4:45 in the afternoon,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
he even said it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got an engineer's letter.
Okay,
You know,
it's not really here nor there now.
Yeah, I think we're voting on it. I'll just make one comment. After seeing all this, looks like to me, I don't know when all these buildings were put and these campers were bought, but if I was building a house, when I was over here worrying about building this kind of stuff, I would have been somewhat looking at putting that money into the house and expediting something or doing something, knowing that we're gonna have all these violations, so,
All right, gentlemen,
I
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion around this table?
I asked Mr. Chandler, I'm not in support of anything that's
unpermitted properly, but with the understanding that possibly the two campers are functional, you know, DCA inspected, kind of safe, if you would, not homemade. Given the time frame, if we extend the request, would be willing for a substitute motion to include both of them for the 6-month period to allow the family transition period to get through things and get things settled, if you would, with summer coming and.
I would absolutely be amenable to that, with understanding that we're, that work is being done to come into compliance with the.
Yeah.
With everything else on the property.
Can I interject here?
Yeah.
So the problem is that it's explicit in your zoning ordinance, 8621, only one RV may be located on a single tract. So you can't amend your zoning ordinance here tonight, you have to do public hearings and whatnot. Now, enforcement is a county staff and administration function. If this administration and staff choose not to enforce for the reason of they're going to promptly bring that amendment to the board to be approved, sure, I would never encourage simply ignoring enforcement with no plan to address it, because that gets us into those selective enforcement problems. But if that is the administration's choice, then you would expect to see an amendment coming pretty shortly.
I will,
So I'd amend my substitute motion to approve approve the extension for 6 months with expectation that staff will foresee and the administration foresee, you know, proper progress on the project and address any and all codes if necessary to fulfill the intent.
Gotcha.
Accepted.
All right. No other discussion. Good job clearing that up. Good job. Thank you, gentlemen. Actually, it's on Brian.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Motion carries.
Okay, so expectation is for staff to foresee the expected building requirements. Is that what you?
I think what
we've approved it. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, what I was trying to communicate, if that's what you're going off of, is that the extension's approved with an expectation of staff and administration presenting an amendment to the zoning ordinance for the one RV, to change the one RV rule.
And incorporate all necessary other violations that aren't applicable to the one unit.
We got it. We'll discuss it in the morning to clear it up. Thank you.
Just to make sure I understand correctly, am I okay for 6 more months after? See, my camper permit hasn't expired yet. Yeah, I still have your,
6 months extension.
6 month extension.
And I can keep both campers for that 6 extra months.
We're gonna work.
You got 6 months and you can talk to that man tomorrow.
That's
right. There you go.
That's all I
Good answer. Sorry. Good job. Consider approving camper permit extensions for Danny Sherman. I hope to God you don't have outbuildings.
I got one camper.
Well, if you got outbuildings, we ain't saying nothing.
No outbuildings.
Repeat everything we just heard.
No outbuilding.
All right, good deal. Sir, would you like to tell us what you're doing, why you need an extension?
I'm actually, hard times.
Understand.
I've been self-employed for 26 years, and COVID hit, it shut my business, and now I'm working for somebody and reestablishing credit. But since I got on the property, I think we got the trailer permit in May. We moved out there mid-July, cutting down trees, clearing land, getting things accessible. Unfortunately, dollars held me up as well. Then I met with Mr. Eddie, and we talked for a couple minutes, and since then I've had the concrete put in. We're getting ready to do the block probably in the next month or so, just waiting for everything to come together.
Okay.
That's where we're at now.
All right. Eddie?
I did a actual on-site inspection on this today. Before I open this up, there is another structure on the building, but this was permitted in 2004, and it's good. So
storage building.
Yeah, it's a barn.
These TVs are great. Cameras
So
are
this
great.
is from the road, and this is what you have. You've got his storage building, barn to the left right here. His camper is located just to the right. His footings are here as you see them.
No extra considerations.
And that's pretty much it.
Yep.
On this one.
All right, thank you, sir. Good. What was, you got, yeah, we got everything. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we're good.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I'll ask for a motion to approve this extension or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second motion.
I have a motion, by Commissioner Kirk, second by Commissioner May. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Derek Doctor.
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, consider appointing Jeff Hendricks to the Planning and Zoning Board.
If he still wants it after tonight. If he still wants it after tonight.
All right, this would be, Frank May's choice for his district.
Replacing Dwayne.
Replacing Fredo. Yes, sir. Hearing no, never mind. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Consider 2022 budget amendments for the Board of Elections and Registration Office. There is a packet, here for that. And, you know, I'd like to do all these in one for time purposes. Consider the 2022 budget amendment for Tax Commissioner's Office. Lamar was gonna hang out tonight, to describe his. I told him I would do that for him. Consider 2022 budget amendments for emergency medical services, and consider budget amendments for the solid waste recyclables. Now, before you gentlemen, but Board of Elections, when we done the building, we did not budget in for the natural gas because our other building was electric. Tax Commissioner's Office, $3,300. This is for an increase in advertising required. This is for the November, where they ordered the new citation sheets or violation sheets. And then the EMS purchased radios for communication is stemmed off of what Brennan said the other week, where we were at $370 a radio. Now we're at $970 for the same radio. The radios were approved to be purchased and purchased prior to finding out about the increase. Solid waste recyclables, new charge wasn't included in the budget, was the recycle pickup. They now have decided to charge us. So I know we take in recyclables, but it's an expensive process to recycle. This was a new charge that we had never paid before.
And that's something that Alan and Mary Beth are looking into, different avenues for that recycling. Yep.
Yeah. So with that being said, I would ask for a motion to approve consent agenda item number 10, 11, 12, and 13 in one motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented.
I have a motion by Commissioner Adams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner May. Any discussion, gentlemen?
How many radios?
There was a total of, I missed off the top of my head, maybe $900 a piece divided by 4,700 will tell us what they were. I'm sorry, I don't have that number. I saw it. I saw the breakout of which stations they went to, which fire departments. There's 25?
That we went to Arizona to get.
Yeah.
Those that came in, there's 25.
Okay,
So,
25.
so this is just the amount that wasn't budgeted for that. They had an original amount budgeted.
Yeah, this is the above and beyond
extra.
amount, I'm sorry. And I know 5 of them went to the fire departments, which was pre-approved by the Board of Commissioners to pay for those. So yes, your 4,700 is above and beyond the number. 25 radios. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
All right, any other discussion on this topic?
Not particularly this, but maybe for next month, or the month after, in the budget adjustment, if zoning and planning and building inspection could look at the purchase of a drone so that we get a perspective of what they got one?
You have a drone?
Drone?
Yeah.
I've got one, and then the sheriff's department has one.
Yes, sir.
Next time we have a presentation like this we saw tonight,
Yes, sir.
just because I'm dumb and from the country, could you put that up on that, please?
I'll try. I don't know if you can tell by my accent, I'm from right down the road.
So in other words, you gotta call another county to get somebody to run it? All right, no problem, not a problem at all. Road aid.
No, we got to vote.
No, that's not what we did.
We didn't
Sorry.
vote. No, we didn't vote. We just,
I have a first and a second. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Terry? I thought Dennis was last time.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. That'll make Kathy happy. Let me get my list here, gentlemen. Road updates.
On Store Smith Road, across from the Cigarettes Mill Dam, as you turn on that road, it's the first culvert you'll come to, left-hand side of the road. The riprap over the winter there is kind of washed out, and the soil up next to the road's washed out there. And then I have a pothole on Buford Carey, Lucky Jones, where those two roads cross together. That's a pretty good sized hole right there.
Terry?
Went up yesterday afternoon to see the beginning of the progress on Timberlane Trail, and it looks excellent. I think everybody's going to be very pleased with the end results of that. The portions they have begun, probably the most critical portion, and I thought looked very professional. There's a power pole right on the side of the road, right across from near Hardman's house. May well be, if we get Jackson MC to move that back, that they could do a better job on the upper side of the road at that one place. Everywhere else, I think it's far enough off that wouldn't be an issue. Had several excited calls from on AC Carey Road when all that equipment started moving to Timberlane Trail. They want to know if we're going to do AC Carey too. I said, yeah, let me explain that. Anyway, that's and I told them that's one that's high up on the priority list for us, AC Carey, Bishop Carey. Still some potholes on Bright Church Road. If I could back up just a second.
Absolutely.
And I think y'all have visited Clark Sexton is wanting Bridle Trail and Wolf Creek Trail paved. The county put some gravel and base down a couple of years ago and did a very good job of that. And now he's concerned about the dust from the gravel. So he wants road paved.
I really started writing, thinking you had something there.
Every day.
Timberlane Trail. Now that the road's smooth, people are flying.
Big speed bumps. Maybe we gotta have some big speed humps there.
I'm gonna go around drilling holes in the roads, that way everybody slow down. Won't take long, won't take many drillings, there's plenty of potholes.
If that's what we did, we changed the name from potholes to speed suppression devices.
That'll work. Zach, bring it. All right, no, really. Frank.
No, I don't have it for today.
People in Hull happy?
Nobody's come about roads. I've had a lot about other things, but not roads. Thank you.
Get the guys to check on Culver Smith on your road, right around 420, 566 is the address. There's a 45-mile-an-hour sign, and across the street, there's a pine tree that's on the, I don't know if it's on the edge of the right, or in the right-of-way, or on private property, but it's concerning enough. Looks like it's hanging over the road.
So is that the pine tree or the
pine tree,
sign?
I want the pine tree checked.
Okay, pine tree then.
If it's ours, then
Okay.
have some attention made to it. If it's not, then we might.
And that was between 420 and 566?
Correct.
Okay.
And then, just ask for an update. I know we rejected the bids for the road clearing.
We got another one that's coming in. We just met with them, last Friday, toured them over, waiting on the bid to come in for it.
Football club.
Lim Edwards.
Lim Edwards.
Lim Edwards. So, and I forgot this, and I'll say it in this. When I sent y'all that list of, roads the other day of worst, the ones that we needed to factor in first, scratch that idea altogether. There were some acronyms that we didn't get the legend to. What I'd sent you and spent 8 hours composing of all the houses was a wasted day because that was the striping that they had down through there. So that day was washed. We have met, with Mr. Deal since then. Lacey just finished Friday, major and minor thoroughfare roads, which we gotta get to them. They're composing a map, and they're also, we are, honestly, what we're going to try to focus on through the rest of 21, and this is just discussion right now, but we're gonna try to focus on nothing but patching, repairing to where 2022 can be straight paving and or micro. But it'll be better to bid 15 or 20 roads out at a time versus 5 patch jobs and 5 roads. But anyway, I'll keep y'all updated as that develops. But right now, it's just in theory. But as soon as I get a good list together, it'll be for y'all to look over and prioritize that list. With that being said, Timberlane is underway. Please use caution. Grass cutting is taking place in Colbert around Haggard's Crossing area. Patch wagon is currently patching potholes weekly. It is running full-time every day. Please call the road department if you have any potholes or repairs. County roads have been scraped and prepared for gravel as needed. We've just about got a pass completely throughout the county. So we're wrapping the county up, and then we'll go back to square one and start again.
I mentioned one thing on the Timberlane Trail. I was talking to folks up there yesterday, and I hadn't even thought about this, but apparently they have a little and this is not our responsibility, obviously, but I know it's something we can discuss, something we can work with them. But the regular rural route carrier said he can't deliver or won't deliver because it's too problematic now. And the county's doing it in sections, so there's a section there that they took the mailboxes down, and I get that, but they just all of a sudden say that we can't deliver. So and that route comes out of Danielsville. So you got everybody now that lives on that road for a duration of time. So we got to go all the way to Danielsville to pick up our mail. So is there a way that we can, is there a communication mechanism between us and the Postal Service? Look, we're fixing to do major work on this road. Can we move all the boxes out to the end of the road, or can we do something to help accommodate rather than them just, and apparently it's a carrier, and maybe they leave it to their discretion. But if you can look into some communication on that and see if there's a way we can.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to handle that. I will go over here, and I want to defend, while I have the opportunity with Zach here, the Madison, the Danielsville. All of our postal offices do a great job, but there's some strategic areas that the USPS does that Danielsville gets grouped into the same as Colbert, the same as potentially Hull, when they have 5 times the area. What we have and we complain about with the Danielsville post office, I promise you, is not a problem they created in Danielsville in that office. I've heard it from Kimsey that was there for all those years, read it from those issues, and the current manager and the current delivery guys there. However the federal government looks at our area, that particular office has about 1/3 the staff that they need. They're staffed the same as Carlton's. They're the staff the same as the other areas, and they just can't keep up. Are they telling us they can't get down that road because truly they don't got enough people? I don't know. I will be more than happy to have that. I've actually called, I got a phone number, and I called one of the federal agencies about 6 or 7 months ago begging for some help on their behalf. This is not our wheelhouse, but it is because they're our citizens. And they basically said, our hands is tied in this. And I feel sorry for every single worker in that Danielsville office, along with the rest of them, but especially that one. It's a madhouse over there. I'm seeing the outside carriers make 4 trips a day to refill their cargo. What people didn't think about with Amazon
Package delivery
is boxes. Well, if you're delivering in a Jeep, there ain't so many boxes you can put in it, but you also got mail. Yeah. They're coming back to that office 4 times a day to restock their car to make another run. When I see my postal carrier running routes at 8 o'clock at night, delivering mail, we used to get it by 2 p.m., we got a problem in the postal service. And the shout out is to them for doing a great job. They do go above and beyond for us. Problem is, it ain't good enough from the upper level, not our local level.
The last one that was on my list was H.V. Chandler, getting that road back open.
Yep. Have you been down it lately? I'm just curious.
I have not, it's been a few weeks, but,
With the drought, hopefully it's dry. I mean, seriously.
yes.
All right, I'll get it, somebody looked at tomorrow. Urgent matters, any.